Let's explore how to use the onChange event handler with form inputs. We'll cover handling input changes in forms, and especially focus on controlled components. The onChange event handler is triggered when a user changes the input in a form element. It's an event handler that fires whenever the user interacts with form elements. This is a React event, specifically a synthetic event, that fires whenever the value of an input changes. It allows for real-time updates, capturing changes as the user types or selects a value. Let's examine a basic example. First, we define a state variable name and its update function setName using the useState hook, initialized with an empty string. Then we define a handleChange function that takes the event object e as an argument. Inside handleChange, we call setName with target.value, which updates the name state with the current input value. Finally, we render an input element, setting its onChange property to handleChange and its value property to the name state. This ensures that the input's value is always synchronized with the name state. The event object contains the input value. State updates trigger re-renders, and this pattern is known as the controlled component pattern. Let's compare controlled and uncontrolled components. With controlled components, React manages the value of the input. The value prop is required, and the onChange event is used to update the state, leading to predictable behavior. On the other hand, with uncontrolled components, the DOM manages the value. We use refs to access the input value, and no onChange event is required, resulting in less React involvement. Controlled components use React to manage form data, while uncontrolled components rely on the DOM. Let's see how to handle multiple inputs with a single onChange handler. Inside the handleChange function, we extract the name and value properties from e.target. Then we call setFormData, using a function to update the state based on the previous state. We use the spread operator, previous to preserve the existing state, and the dynamic property name, value to update the specific input field. We can then assign the handleChange to multiple input elements. Each input has a name. A single handler is used for all inputs. The spread operator preserves existing data. Now let's discuss different input types and how onChange works with them. For text and email inputs, we use e.target.value to get the string data. For checkboxes, we use e.target.check to get the Boolean value. For select dropdowns, we use e.target.value to get the selected option. Finally, for file inputs, we use e.target.files to get the file objects. Each input type provides different data, accessible through the event object. Let's see how we can use onChange for real-time form validation. Inside the handleEmailChange function, we get the input value from e.target.value and update the email state. We then perform real-time validation by checking if the value includes an @ symbol. If it does, we clear the emailer. Otherwise, we set the emailer to invalid email. The real-time benefits include immediate user feedback, a better user experience, preventing form submission errors, and progressive validation. Here are some best practices to follow when working with onChange. Always use controlled components by providing both value and onChange for predictable behavior and easier testing. Debounce heavy operations such as API calls or expensive validations to improve performance. Use the single handler pattern with name attributes for multiple inputs in forms. And provide real-time validation to users while they type for a better user experience. If you like this video, hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe. Visit CodeLucky.com for more such useful content.